Hello and welcome back to Insane Nightmare. Today we are going to be building the Horde base, and honestly I don't think it's going to take this entire episode, so I think between building the base and testing the base there might be a little bit more decoration of this base going on, because I'm going to have to fill that time somehow. So let me grab my materials for building this base. So we want blocks. I have about 1,000 and a bit of these blocks. I don't think I'll need any more than that. And then I have a great deal of concrete. If I want every block to be concrete, I'll probably need like 10,000. And then steel I have also a lot of. Right, so this base is going to be a lot like the base we used over there, which if you haven't seen that video, I would highly recommend it. It's called something along the lines of how I built the dumbest Horde base, and we're going to be making that but even bigger. The way this base works is essentially we build up so high that zombies falling don't go into a mechanic called destroy area, which causes them to attack blocks. And then we give them such a long run back up to where I am that they don't go into destroy area mode, because they have to reach a certain radius of you within 20 seconds, I think it is, before they will go back into destroy area mode. So if you can keep them out of your reach for 20 seconds, then they won't attack your base, and you can get away with some very relatively resource efficient end game, like day 7,000 capable Horde bases. This one should only take, just over 500 of these blocks, which is pretty good for an endgame base. Now obviously I'm going to be concrete and steelifying a great deal of those blocks, just to make sure I don't have to upgrade it as I go, just have to keep doing repairs. But you can definitely get away with doing this base in just concrete pretty late into the game, depending on when your demolition zombies start spawning, which happens at about game stage 150. You can use a concrete base for anything below that. You don't need steel if you're just fighting radiated zombies. It's just not needed. So the premise of this base is that it is a stilt base. What that means, as the name suggests, is it's a base on stilts. We are going to be building from inside the terrain 21 blocks up. Now that's 2 blocks down in the terrain, 19 blocks above the terrain. It doesn't have to be 19, it needs to be at least 11, but we're doing 19 to make it so that they have to run even further when they're coming back up my really long ramps, which are gonna be interesting. So we want to start off by picking where we're going to be standing in the Horde night, and that's going to be here, facing that way. So we're going to dig down 2 blocks. And the reason we're doing 2 is because this base really needs to be secure against demolition zombies. If a demolition zombie falls down and explodes at the base of your base, you're essentially only going to have a 1 block defense against that if it decides to blow up near the very bottom. So you want to make sure you've got a little bit of terrain padding so that the demolition zombie doesn't blow up the blocks underneath your pillars, because if any of these pillars fall, it's going to be a bad time. But these pillars shouldn't fall because that's the design of the base, but demos can interrupt it. So we're going to go straight into 1 block, 2 block. There we go. We want to make sure they're steel. And then we want to go up 19 blocks. Now here's the thing about me. I have parkour. So I can just build up 19 and then jump off this, and it doesn't matter. If you're doing this at home, utilize some temporary blocks and do sort of like a this situation, and upgrade your blocks as you go. I, however, I'm just going to do this and reinforce. So I want to build another 19 blocks here. So 1, 2, there we go, 19. Make this top one steel, because we know we want it to be. And then upgrade all this to at least concrete. Now, as for precisely what parts need to be the strongest, I would recommend the top and the bottom, because the top might have some hits from cop pops and zombies falling down and hitting it on the way down, as well as demolition zombies exploding right in your face, which may affect a few of the blocks down. And the bottom is the same. You might have a few straggler zombies who decide to attack it, and you don't want that. So what I've done is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blocks should be fine. You don't need to reinforce the middle. If you want to, feel free. I might do it once I've verified I have enough forged steel to do all the other things I need to do. So this is your first pillar, or stilt. Next we want to come out 11 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. These are temporary blocks. If you're copying at home, don't place those down in like concrete or whatever. We're using those to measure. You want to dig down 2 blocks again. Pick those up. And while we're at it, why don't we put out the next little foundation piece here, and I think that's another 11 blocks if my screenshot of the base I built in a test world is correct. And 11. Dig down 2 more here, and pick these up. Each of these pillars needs to be 19 tall, so I'm going to just do that now. There we go, my 3 pillars are in, and I got a skill point. I'm going to put that in living off the land, so that I can get more chrysanthemum, so I can make paint faster for the decoration of the other base there, because that has been a bit of a bottleneck. So there's our 3 pillars. Those wooden blocks in between are completely temporary. Ignore them. They are there to make sure I got them all at the right height, which I did. The next thing I would suggest you do is you want to pad out this pillar here, and the reason it needs to be padded is it has to support extra weight compared to the other ones, and it's most likely to be the biggest issue if this one takes a lot of damage. So we're going to put plates of whatever description you like. You can even make it full blocks, but it doesn't look as interesting when you do it with like a nice big 3x3 chunk of blocks. This makes it look like it's actually on just 3 stilts, so I like to do that. It just makes it look more weird, and I kind of like the weird looking horde bases. So we're going to do this on every side, and what I'm going to do is make it so that the front one here, which is this one, is going to be steel, because this is the one most likely to actually take damage. So it's the one that actually has to be the most reinforced. Everything else can survive just fine as probably cobblestone, but I'm going to just do concrete, because you've seen how much concrete I have. I can throw it away, it's just free XP. And then we're going to repeat this further up. That's just as far as I could take it down there. So continue it all the way up until the block just before the top one. So basically like that, and leave the top block exposed. What the hell? I would recommend you make the top block on all of these steel. Oh, that is annoying. Yeah, careful with the on-face rotation selection. It can be a real pain in the ass. You saw how much cobblestone I have, you know I can spare this, so not that big of a deal. But yeah, make these steel, because they're actually going to be holding things up, and it makes it stronger, and that's going to give it more structural support throughout the entire thing. It doesn't matter that the thing below it is weaker than it, it will go off of the blocks that it's actually attached to, which will be the top ones. And then steal all of that. And then I'm going to go around the other side and replicate this. You don't need to see it again. There we go. That is all the padding this block needs. Now I'm told if I wanted to, I could technically thread the needle between these 2 blocks and upgrade the blocks on the inside. Yeah, so if you want to do that, you can actually look between the blocks and reinforce them to steel. I don't really need to do that though. I'll just wait until a block exposes, and that'll tell me that that block needs to be steel, because that means that block's in the most danger. For the rest of this, that is fine though. So I'm going to build a temporary ladder up to the top here. Here we go. And I'll just put like a block here so it doesn't look as weird. There, technically not floating. That's fine, don't worry about me doing that, that was deliberate. We want to place 2 blocks out from here, because this is going to be sort of a start of our fighting room. And then what we want to do here is take poles. Now you can use a variety of different blocks for this. Some people might prefer to use railings, they're thinner and they take less damage, but I know poles work. And that is what's important to me, is just knowing what I know works. And if it ain't broke, don't fuck with it. But yeah, you can use railings and stuff, which would probably be better than just... Oh, we don't want to actually connect that. What we want to do here is use a nice cube centered. That's going to give it more of a transition between the full block and the pole block, which is going to help keep them out of destroy area mode. You don't want the zombies to have any pathing difficulties at all, or they'll get very confused and start punching the floor. And when you're punching the floor, you know, 20 meters off the ground, and there's nothing underneath the floor, the base will break. Because if any of these bridges break, this base doesn't work anymore. It relies on this bridge being intact. Now, a good thing you could do is set up backup versions of this base nearby. It is a pretty cheap base that lasts pretty late into the end game, so you could definitely get away with doing that. Don't worry about the temporary blocks. They cost 2 wood each, and I have like 5 stacks of wood. They are a small price to pay for convenience. We're going to continue this over to the next one. Oh, I've fallen, but yeah, Fortunately, I've got my ladder. Now, one thing you can do if you're absolutely terrified of taking fall damage is use a vehicle, preferably the truck, because it's the easiest one to do it with. If you fall and just spam E, there you go. You'll get in the truck before you hit the ground, and then if you're spamming E, you'll be taking out the truck, and you'll just stand here next to it, so you can stop all fall damage with that. Limited usefulness, but it has saved me a few times in my playthroughs. But I don't need to care, I have plenty of healing items. I have like a box filled with 50 first aid kits at this stage. The game is not shy about giving you medicine. Now here, we want to add 2 of these, and then switch over to another half cube, whatever that's called. There we go. Steelify all this. Yes, steelify, you heard me. There we go, so our bridge is in. So once we put in our ramps and stuff, these zombies will come up here, they'll run across, and they'll fight us here at the fighting position we'll build, which will give them plenty of time to not attack the important parts of the base. Now, another thing I want to do is just widen this out. Make it 3 wide here. Oh no, wait, did this wrong. We want to break these. These should be corner ramps, because we want to make the transition between 3 blocks wide and, you know, less than a block wide easier on the zombies, because they can get caught up and confused. It's not 100% foolproof, but it's an improvement over not doing this. So we're going to do this, a nice little ramp transition, and then here we can just have these be straight blocks, that's fine. And I believe I also want to put out another block on this side, so that it's a nice odd number. So you got 3 full blocks here. Each one's going to have a ramp coming into it. Let's head over there then. So the bridge is fully done. So yeah, if you're trying to copy this at home, at this stage your bridge and stuff should look something like that. Okay. Next, we need to put in the ramps. Now, the ramps are going to be the same on each one, so I'll show you how to build one of them. And I'll show you how to get the positioning right. The first thing we want to do is come out. We want 6 blocks here, so let me get frames so I can just mark it out the easy way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These ones, I wouldn't stress too much about making them too deep into the terrain. Just 1 will be fine. That's going to protect it sufficiently. 1 there. And then we want to come over, then we want 3 blocks in between these. 1, 2, 3, place it here. These are going to be support pillars for your big ramps, because you don't want to make it too enticing for the zombies to just break their own ramps, because they will do some incredible mathematical calculations in their head for something that has a literal hole in its head, but it's fine. And then we want to come over 7 next. So 6, 3, 7. Dig another hole. Place this in. You want to repeat this on each of the 3 sides here, so 1 going straight forward, 1 going to the right of the base, and 1 going to the left of the base. So I'm going to replicate this on every side. Remember, 6, 3, 7. There we go, I've replicated this on each side. So what we want to do next is we want to reinforce the base things here to just be steel. So we want to come to the end pillar here and come out to the little stump we put 6 blocks away. And we want to build a pillar 13 blocks above the ground. That's 14 including this, but 13 above. 2, 13. Come down here. Obviously, if you don't have the parkour perk, find a safer way down. Mostly going to be going up and down with wooden frames, to be honest with you. And then you want to go 9 blocks above the ground on this one. Okay, I'm not going to fully reinforce these just in case I've miscalculated. Right now it'd be very easy to just remove them if I screwed this up. So for these pieces here, we're going to be building our ramp into the ramp. So we want to dig out basically a 3x3. You should be safe to just leave them as concrete. You shouldn't need steel on the outer ones. Then you want to build a little L here. I'm going to steelify these just to be sure. Obviously, I'll probably want to steal that one, otherwise it's pointless. Then we want to take ramps. You can use stairs, but I've tested it with ramps and it works, and I like the way it looks with ramps. So we want to do that type of thing. And then we want to come in here and do these. Then we want the ramp corner block, specifically the ramp outside corner full, and that is going to really help the zombies get onto this ramp, which we want. We don't want the zombies to stop here. We don't want the zombies to have to jump up onto anything, because I know I'm going to be getting those comments, oh, well, if you take it all out and make them jump up it, it'll break and they will destroy it, okay? Use some kind of mobility assisting block here. You want ramps or stairs. If you do not give them this extra support on getting up onto this ramp, it will break. They will stop at the side of the ramp and punch it, then they will run up the stairs. After, a few rotations of that, they're going to break that, and once one of them breaks, that entire ramp is useless if the zombies can't climb it. Once your 3 ramps are all completely useless, you are now standing on a pole that they cannot reach you at. They will run towards the bottom of the pole, and they will knock it out from under you. So for the love of fucking God, put this on it. You know what, make that steel as well. Now here's a little trick if you're having to build a lot of things at once with the same sort of repetitive pattern. You want to copy... Hello, Wandering Horde. So as I was saying, deal with those in a minute, we want to copy both of these into being this shape. Now we want basically the ramp to be inverted here, so click the advanced rotation and get it like that. The other one is already set to be the correct orientation, and then we just alternate between these 2 stacks of blocks. That is going to save you a lot of time compared to going back into the shape menu. If you just split your blocks with saved rotations, you'll save a lot of time with this base build. Up onto here, do that, it'll come into this, and then do that one as well. I'm going to reinforce this one to steel, otherwise I'll kind of lose its position later on. It'll make more sense. Now we want to continue this little ramp pattern into this next pillar. These pillars are strategically placed to be the most beneficial to the ramp structural integrity. That is why they are placed specifically where they are, and why they are the specific heights that they are. I used a test world with a design of this base, and used a debug feature that shows the stability, and I found the weakest points of the ramp, and I added pillars underneath them. And you see, now I don't know where the top of the ramp is, and it's going to be harder to actually get the right... See what I mean? This is why we upgrade it when we put it down. So since I know everything's in the correct position here, this ramp goes all the way up to that part there. Now I will reinforce, and I'll do a similar situation to these pillars where I do 4 steel above the ground, and then concrete, and then bring steel down. This one could probably just all be steel. Yeah, if you want to make these pillars all steel, go ahead. I don't need to. I just thought that would be the best way to do that. We're going to need some temporary blocks here to come and reinforce this. You could definitely reinforce this as you go if you're more confident in your placement of the blocks. That should do for this one. It doesn't need much more than that. These other blocks shouldn't really be hit very often. Then we want to make the rest of the ramp concrete. If you have the materials to make it steel, go ahead and make it steel. There is no harm in doing that. Cool, so this ramp is fully complete. This ramp will now work. The next step is simply to take this ramp and build it the exact same way as you did, but do it here and do it here. It is the exact same. You take that, you do it on each of these 2 sides. So I'm going to do that, and I'll skip ahead because you probably don't need to see it again. There we go. All 3 of the ramps up onto the bridge are now complete, and they will provide a way for the zombies to get up, but a way that will take them a hot minute to get up. Trust me, it takes them a while. So what remains of this base is actually just the standing area, which we are building over here. We want to thicken this out to 5 wide. The ladder wasn't originally a part of the base design, but I kind of like it now. And that's fine by me. So I'm gonna steelify the whole floor here. So you should have a 5x5 floor here up at the top. You can choose to put your ladder 1 over if you'd like. That is fine. I just kind of like the way it is. So what we're going to do here is just build sort of a how to describe it. It's a fighting position, but it's not the same as the one I always use. We're going to be using scaffolding ladders, which have been discovered in Alpha 21 by much more creative base builders than me, to be really quite interesting in terms of their utility. Let me grab a plate here. Now, the shape of this fighting position is just kind of because I like it, but I'm going to put plates over the front here. It's going to give you extra support on the top part, which is important. I'm going to put plate there, plate there, plate there, and plate there. Those are the blocks that are actually going to get attacked by zombies other than your scaffolding ladders, so they need to be strong. Making a nice little Mandalorian helmet here. Concretify this at least. I don't need this to be steel, not now anyway. Later on in the game, sure, it can be steel. So what we want to do is take scaffolding ladders, that's these ones, and I think we want to place them so that they're like that. That is going to be a little bit better for my brain, I think. And we want it so that it is on this block and it is flush with the edge of the block over there. What I mean by that is, let me show you. It actually takes up this block, but it looks kind of like it's on the next block. This is the side that you can actually climb, by the way. You don't want the side that can be climbed to be facing towards the zombies because they'll climb it. And we don't want zombies to be climbing up the front of our base while we're trying to kill them. Oh, I did not mean to make that steel. Fortunately, it's not a very important block. So you can melee here. You can melee through that fine. You can shoot through it. Cops can't spit through it, zombies can punch through it, but nothing can try and pass through it. The thing that is important though is to make sure that you don't make this too strong too early, because if you do, zombies will be tempted to just attack it down there. Now I was supposed to leave holes in the floor, and I always forget to do this, so that you can see down and throw grenades to the bottom, but we do have this part. So during the Horde night I can look down here and be like, there's bad things happening down there, I've made a mistake. So that's something at least. I want to also put the padding on this block here. Hopefully that doesn't encourage the zombies to try and get all the way through a bunch of steel instead. Let's also fill in the back of this. Now you may be typing a question, something along the lines of, and I get this one a lot, where do you put all your crafting stuff in this base? You don't. A base in 7 Days to Die can be one of two kinds of bases, or I suppose three. It can be a base where you fight the Horde, and all it is a fighting position where you defend yourself against the Horde, or it can be a base where you store all your crafting stuff, and it typically doesn't need to be anywhere near as durable as a Horde base, or you can do a combined one. You can build another pillar and tack on various rooms with crafting stuff of the same configuration as this, with as many pillars as you want. I don't need it though. I'm building a dedicated crafting base that is designed to look nice-ish and have relatively good defenses. This does not need to look nice at all. This is just a Horde base. I will run over here at Horde night time and I will fight the Horde. So that's where my crafting stuff is. Not here. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of an interesting setup here. We're going to do railings. You can definitely do scaffolding ladders here as well if you like them. I just prefer railings, because why not? There, 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 and there. Ow, I hate when I waste steel so much. And then I'll just place a good old actual ladder here, which will serve the purposes of actually being a ladder, so that we can get up onto the roof. And I'll put a hatch in here. I'll put a temporary... I've got this stuff to make an iron hatch. I forgot you could actually make those in your inventory. But yeah, put a hatch on there. You stand here and you fight the Horde. Might be worth putting a door on the ladder, just to protect my back from getting shot by cops and spiders trying to climb up it and stuff. But yeah, all you do, stand here, fight the zombies. You can melee if you want. I'm not going to be using any melee, because I have so much ammunition. Those of you who've been watching the series know I have unspeakable amounts of shotgun shells at this stage, so why bother with melee on an Insane Nightmare Horde night? Especially when I don't have to worry about playing this game into the hundreds of days, right? My series only lasts so long. But yeah, that is the Horde base technically complete. That is all you need to do. This was my drinking puddle, by the way. And it took, what? 520 blocks, not including the wooden frames that we've picked up broken, scrapped, and the ladders and stuff. But yeah, that's not bad for an endgame Horde base that should be able to survive some pretty rough hordes. I don't see any problems with this base so far anyway. So that gives me the entirety of day 41 and the entirety of day 42 before we can actually test this base. Now I can do one of two things. I can split the testing up into 2 separate episodes, which would annoy me, or I can try and fill 2 days with content I can actually edit into a 40-minute video. And I think the thing to do is going to be continuing the decoration of the other base, and that is going to require a great deal of chrysanthemum. So I'm going to run around the countryside for the next, like, 5 in-game hours, gather all the chrysanthemum I can. Oh, you know what? I was going to do this for many, many hours, but it's just occurred to me that the big limitation is going to be water. It takes 1 boiled water to make a unit of paint. I have like 50 water at most, and I can get another, 20 pretty quickly from my dew collectors, but otherwise, chrysanthemum's not really going to be the limiting factor here. So let's take this back to my base then and see what we can do. Some of my trees have grown, I see. They'll need some extra time, because they're not going to look like that when they're fully grown. But it is pretty hilarious to see them clipping with all the walls right now. Let's see. An additional 70 water? Am I about to turn this all into paint? You betcha. Okay, so I have 71 units of paint cooking up here. That's going to take a few minutes, obviously. I need to get rid of some gunpowder out of my chemistry stations, though. Otherwise it's going to overflow. Let me clear out my inventory and I'll be back when that paint's done. Okay, so paint. We got 4,000 out of you so far, another 4,000. Yeah, we got 15,000 paint. That's a decent amount of paint. I don't even need it right now, so I'm going to actually give it a dedicated paint box, which I would say is one of the biggest signs of absolute thriving in 7 Days to Die I've ever seen. Because what I need to do before I get to any more painting is finish placing all the blocks I want to place for this base, which is going to actually rely on an incredible amount of landscaping, because I want all of this grass that you see here to be at basically this height. And it's a lot of clay, let me tell you. This is going to get me a lot of clay. Can I get rid of this one piece of water? I don't even know if that's going to work permanently, but we shall see. So I've got enough paint to paint the rest of this place. Now we need to do the terraforming, place the rest of the blocks, paint it up, add a few more dew collectors, and this place will be pretty much done. So, first things first, let's dig up all this grass. Okay, after a pretty solid amount of time digging and replacing blocks, I've mostly flattened out the ground. I've added another staircase up into the walls here. I've continued my path around to the back of the base, to the side entrance that I added in here with another staircase here, as well as a little shortcut here to the garage area. But yeah, this is nothing the regulars of the series won't have already seen, it's just I did more of it around with some more time. And it's looking okay. I'm quite happy with the layout now. Now I just need to decorate it with paint and decorations, but before the day ends, look at all the clay I got, by the way. That's even after having created like 300 topsoil blocks to replace all that. Right, the Horde night is just about to start, so let me take some vitamins, in case I get hit once and it decides to give me an infection. I have 1,000,000 of them, so it doesn't really matter if I overuse them. Oh, what's my game state? Yeah, no, it's not going to be demos this time around. That's going to be day 49, which is pretty normal for me, seeing demos on day 49. At least on a standard XP forest biome playthrough. Here we go. Hopefully this works. I've tested it, but you never know with 7 Days to Die. Oh, I see someone running up the ramp. That's a good sign. A singular guy. This there they are. They were just spawning quite far away, I think. Okay, so this is a good sign. They are running up the ramps and stuff. Some of them are falling off before they even get to me. The cop spit can't get through these, by the way, so just chill, I guess. It'll do damage, obviously, but really not that much of a concern if it's not hitting you. It takes them so long to reach you, even on Nightmare Suite. Ah, see, he wants to break that block for some reason. What's that about, I wonder? Further investigation is required, but it's very easy to get them off that block, so... Sure. Oh yeah, these aren't bars, you have to actually aim. They're not stopping at the top of the ramp at least, that's good. They do seem to stop in the middle of the bridge though, but I couldn't tell you why. It seems to be mostly after I hit them though. Like maybe it stops their pathing and they get a bit confused. A shotgun's really good. Nobody's hitting the stuff down there, I don't think. Can't really see the base of that tower there, but it looks okay. It might be worth taking out that middle block and just keeping the pole going the entire way. That might stop them from getting a bit confused. It's the transition between the paths. That's what's getting them confused. They don't like switching between different widths of blocks, I don't think. Or going from wide to thin, that is. I can think of a few ways to fix that, to be honest. But it's not that big of a deal anyway. Just notice when it's happening and deal with it quickly. You could always put an SMG turret in as well. That would stop this entirely. I just try and make my bases not need any kind of power. Well, except for that electric fence base, obviously. But even then, it works without power, it's just not as good. So far though, this base is going pretty well, aside from that one issue of some of them wanting to hit that block, which I've got some ideas on solving anyway. I didn't notice that problem in my initial tests, but you know what Civ Vista is like. Sometimes it just does things, but it doesn't seem to be a massive problem. Point. Why am I still getting no radiated zombies? It's day 42. Surely radiated zombies should be here. Not that they would do any better, I mean it'd just take a few extra shots, but it's still weird that I'm not getting any. One thing I really like about this base concept is it's more effective on Insane Nightmare than it is on the other difficulties, because it uses the zombies' momentum against them. Because one zombie is too fast, they will push the other ones out the way, unless the zombie in front of them is too slow, in which case that zombie will slow down everything behind them. So it really uses their speed against them here. Because if there's any kind of clogging, they run so quickly on the spot that they slide off the sides. And I don't know how effective that would be on a sprinting Horde Knight, but on Nightmare speed, they just slip off. What are you doing? Oh, need to repair my SMG. Switch to the shotgun. And I can essentially make that happen by stunning zombies with the shotgun. See how he slows down? And all the zombies behind him would get stuck. If I didn't, you know, blow them up as well. And honestly, this base borders on being an AFK base on Nightmare speed, because most of them just knock them off anyway. Very few zombies have very long to actually hit me. Or to hit the barriers there. See? One at a time. Ah, they're having some trouble over there though. Stop that. Look at that knockdown. Shotguns are so good. And of course, one added benefit of it being so tall is when they do slip off, they do take a bit of fall damage, softening them up for the next time they come and fight you. It's not a huge amount, but it's something. 3 damage. I do find it kind of hilarious how I designed the original version of this base as a joke. Like, the whole point was people were sick of seeing my old base, which was really effective, because it made Horde Nights ridiculously easy. So as a joke, I thought, what if I make a really tall, stupid-looking Horde base, and I just used a new mechanic from Alpha 21 to make it interesting. Accidentally made one of the most OP base designs I've ever seen. I'm a genius, but only when I'm not trying to be. Good old diffusive thinking. Did I even bring materials to repair? I did. Good. Not sure if I actually brought steel, which would have been bad if I didn't. Another hour of Horde Night. I don't know if I'm going to completely clear the Horde, but I'm going to survive it, that's for sure. 2 skill point. Oh, off they pop. Another bloody vulture up there. So many of them. Honestly, I'm doing the most damage to the base by just randomly hitting blocks accidentally. Right, hang on, a couple of skill points here, a couple of points of fortitude. Right, let's have a look outside and see what the damage is. Long descent. Let's have a look. Did they hit this at all? A couple of hits on this, but nothing that constitutes a concern to me. It's probably just a few cops popping as they hit the ground, you know? No one's hitting the back pieces, so that's a good sign. Right, and what's the status of these? Have these been hit at all? Not even once. It looks like they got a couple of hits there. That's probably from me. Well, that can't be from me spraying. Maybe that's cop pops then. But they're definitely not punching it on their way past. Let's have a look. No damage on the ramp up here. A couple of hits on this. Just make that steel. There's no harm in doing it. I should have done it anyway. I did it on this side. What about down here? No hits there. Nothing on that. Nothing on that. Nothing on that. I mean, the concept works. It needs a little bit of refinement to be perfect. Because obviously they still want to hit up here. Specifically, not quite that. That's me with a shotgun. Don't worry about that. But this block right here is the one they were trying to take a chunk out of. Now, most zombies are going to have a very, very difficult time breaking through that. Like 10,000 health plus steel has some amount of like damage resistance into its health as well, so it's really hard for them to break that. But it is noticeably a flaw in the base, and something you should be aware of if you're going to be building it in your own world. Otherwise though, this pretty much went perfectly. Now, will it retain that perfectness once demos start spawning? We shall see. Didn't mean to make that steel, that's annoying. We shall see. Probably on day 49, I'll try and get a bunch of levels between now and then so that I can test it. You'll have to stay tuned on the series to see it tested against that, or of course you could build it yourself and test it. That also works. But I have other things to do and I can't just play another 7 days of 7 Days to Die for this video. So that'll have to be our test for this. I hope you found the base interesting, useful, inspiring perhaps. Maybe you have some ideas for your own base of a similar idea. I'm calling this a Stilt base, and it's a pretty simple idea that was born from a joke. Thank you to my channel members and patrons for making these videos possible, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Insane Nightmare.